Hello everyone and welcome to the 6th episode of the Racing School, and in this video we're going to be looking at the different types of corners that you may come up with when you're racing. Now this isn't going to be an exhaustive list of every single corner that you can possibly have, but I'm going to go over a fair few. So chicanes are up first, and this is the second chicane at Monza. Now really there's nothing that interesting about chicanes. They are just really put there in racing tracks to slow you down in certain sections. There's not a lot of skill involved in getting through them. But basically all you want to do with chicanes is straight line them as much as possible. Try and carry as much speed through them as possible, and sometimes maybe you can sacrifice a bit of speed on the first part of the chicane so you can carry it through to the second part if you've got a bit of a longer straight afterwards. So as you can see, heavy braking, cut the corners as much as possible, get on the power as early as possible and carry the speed through as much as you can. And that's basically what you want to do with chicanes. So next up we've got corners before a long straight. Now these are slightly different to normal corners in that the fact that they are before a long straight means you might want to do them differently. So this is the last corner at Laguna Seca, and it is obviously because it's the last corner before the main straight of the track. Now with these you want to try and take a bit of a late apex, so you brake a bit later, turn in a little bit later, take a late apex but get the power on a little bit earlier, and that allows you to carry all the speed all the way down the rest of the straight. And the speed that you gain by going faster down the straight is more than the speed that you lose by taking the corner non-optimally, if you like. So around the whole track as a whole, it's better to do it that way. Now I did talk about the apex of the corner in episode 1, so go back and watch that if you haven't already. But basically when I'm saying late and early apexes, I basically mean going a bit later and a bit earlier than what the geometric apex would be normally. So this is Stowe at Silverstone, and this is the perfect example of a decreasing radius corner and another late apex. So here the corner essentially comes back on itself, which means that you have to be very careful about where you start accelerating, because if you do it as it would be if it was a normal corner, you would end up off the track. So basically what you do is you come in, you carry a lot more speed into the corner, and you take a late apex, put the power on when you get to the apex, and you carry the speed through, and that allows you to get through as quickly as possible. Now the opposite hand of that is an increasing radius corner, and the Parabolica at Monza is the perfect example of this. So as you can see, in comparison to Stowe, the Parabolica basically has increasing radius, so that as you go further around the corner it widens, and what you want to do with this is take an early apex, and that allows you to put the power on much earlier and allows you to carry the speed all the way around the corner. Now obviously with increasing radius corners they can be quite difficult to find where that apex is, but basically what you do, you come, you brake, you hit the apex early in the corner, put the power on very early, and the speed is carried all the way through the corner because the corner widens as you go around it, so you've got that space to carry the speed through. So those are all corners on their own, but a lot of times you'll have consecutive corners and corners one after another. So here's the first corners at Laguna Seca, and what you need to do with these is try and make them act as one corner. So this is one left-hander after another, and basically you need to just treat them as one corner and try to get the ideal line around them and treat it as if it was a hairpin, although you do have two apexes and they are classed as two different corners. So you come down the main straight here and you go obviously over to the right as the racing line says, and you basically hit the apex on the first corner, allow yourself to go out wide, and then come back in and hit the apex, get the power on the second corner as well, and try to make the power early enough so that you get enough speed on the next straight. So another type of consecutive corner is when you've got a left-hander followed by a right-hander, such as Vale at Silverstone, which is the final corner of the new layout of circuit. So with this you want to sacrifice the speed on the first part of the corner to allow you to get the speed on the second part, and it's kind of like a chicane in that regard as well, but you know, they are proper corners in their own right. So basically what we do is we come down the straight, we sacrifice speed on the first part of the corner and do it a little bit tighter, go for a little bit later of an apex, and that allows us to get in the right position for the second part of the corner, as you see here, and that gives us a nice run all the way through and we can get the power on nice and early. So you're sacrificing your position on the first part of the corner to get a better position for the second part of the corner because it's followed by a long straight. And the third type of consecutive corner that we're looking at today is the Suzuka S's. The S's at Suzuka, the first part of the track, is one of the the most incredible parts of consecutive corners you're ever likely to see. And with this, it's not as intuitive as what you might think. So you are consistently not taking each corner optimally, essentially. So if you had one part of the corner on its own, you wouldn't take it as you do when they're all together. But because they're all together, the quickest line through all of these corners is not the quickest line through one of them, for example. So as you can see here, we go through those two corners nicely, but we don't go all the way over to the right because that would take us too far out. Again, we don't go all the way over to the left for this part, and we don't go all the way over to the right for the next part as well. We're basically trying to get as fast as we can through all of the corners at once, rather than just looking at one corner at a time. And that's what you need to do. But final thoughts on this is basically you need to be looking at the corners that you have on a certain track and try to figure out which is the best way to get around the corner to maximize your lap time around the whole track, not necessarily around that specific corner entirely. So yeah, have a look on the internet, see different types of corners that you might come up with, and experiment with different lines on various tracks. And by doing that, you'll get a feel for different types of corners and how you should approach them as well. So I hope this has helped, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. If it did, be sure to leave a like and leave a comment down below if you've got any questions whatsoever about the series, about these kind of lines that you can use, and I'll try my best to answer them either in a future video or down below as well. So thanks a lot for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time.